Hey guys, welcome back to Auto Repair guys. Thank you guys for watching and subscribing to the channel. Today will be super helpful video to any of you having a Hyundai Sonata 2.4 GDI engine. You need to remove or replace valve lifters. Stay with us, we'll explain how to do that step by step. And common mistake people make that can actually cost you money and spend hours and hours trying to fix it. So before we start, let me tell you a little bit about us. Every single car we get at the garage, we try to make at least 200 to 300 free repair videos. Why we do that? Simply because our mission in the shop is to save you as much money as we can. All we need in return, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, that way we can keep making these absolutely free videos for you. Now if you need to buy any parts, tools for a good price and quick shipping, check out the link in the description of the video below. That's where we get all our tools and supplies from. It will take quite a bit of work guys, stay with us, it will be long, very detailed video. We need to remove timing chain, camshafts, all that stuff to get to the valve lifters, and we'll explain what to do. So let's start on it now. So in order to remove the oil pan, we need to remove the lower bolts on the AC compressor with a 12mm socket. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, one bolt is extremely tight, so we'll need to break it loose, okay, with the ratchet, and then we should be able to get it out. Let's go ahead, see if we can do that. Maybe use the impact so we can save a little bit of time. Everything happens quicker. Okay, so we don't need to waste your time guys, so we can just get to the repair. Now, that bracket right here for the AC compressor needs to come out. You can see that bracket, because it's holding actually the oil pan and there is hidden bolts underneath it that you cannot access. So with the same 12mm socket, I believe we have 3 or 4 bolts. Okay, let's see where exactly they are located. That's bolt number 2. Then we have bolt number 3. And after that guys, we're getting to bolt number 4 and the whole bracket will come off. Perfect. Now that bracket, as you can see, there is actually even more hidden bolts now underneath, and there are 2 bolts that are with a 12-point socket, 12mm 12-point socket. I'm talking about this bolt here and the bolt right there. They're actually for the crankcase, so they're extremely long bolts that you need to apply a certain torque later. Okay, let me focus quick. I couldn't focus. This is a 12-point socket. That's what it looks like. You have to be careful not to strip them. I would never recommend to use impact with a 12-point socket. Okay, never use a 12-point socket impact. Okay, this is actually 13. We got a 13 because it can strip them, but also you have to be extremely careful. So I will recommend, okay, to do it by hand, because 12 points with the impact actually generates more torque, and that can strip them guys all of a sudden. Okay, perfect. One's out. You can see pretty long bolt. Now number 2 coming out as well. After that, we're pretty easy guys. We have a few bolts, probably 10-12 bolts, we'll see, with 10mm socket, okay, that we need to remove. So let's go ahead, start on that. I'm going to do my best to show you where they're located. They just fall in the bucket that we have there, and we'll get them. Now one of them is extremely tight again, so we need to pre-loosen that one. Okay, let's see if it's going to take care now. Okay, perfect. That's great. Now let's see where else we have bolts. On the back side right there. Okay, trying my best to show you where they are. All right. Now right here as well, and we go from here and we just keep going and going. Now that oil pan should be stuck with silicone, but this one was recently removed. It wasn't resealed, but when you remove the bolts it may be stuck, and you may need to use a screwdriver, and there is a spot where you can pry right here. If you accidentally bend it, okay, you can straighten the oil pan later because it's all made out of metal. So the oil pan comes out, okay, you can see it just like that. Now that's the silicone right here. Let us show you. That's the silicone right here. We'll get the silicone that you need to use, but if you have an oil leak or every time you remove it you need to clean everything really good, okay, really good. The oil pan, get a scraper, clean it with a scraper, make sure there is absolutely no glue, silicone, anything like that. Then clean it with rubbing alcohol to make sure that it's not greasy. The same thing needs to apply to the engine block. You need to clean everything super good, guys. And you're going to apply 3 to 4 millimeter bead of silicone. The gray gasket maker is amazing for that. Whoever used the black one, I don't like it. The gray one is the original one that it's used. And you're going to apply 3 to 4 millimeter bead on the inside of the bolts, okay? And you're going to install it. Some people go around the bolts too. You can. A little bit, that's good as well. I mean, you can just go a little bit around the bolts. If it comes out later while it's still soft, just wipe it and you won't be able even to tell that there is silicone. But you can see oil pan came out just like that. So next we'll be removing the valve cover. Here for the valve cover we need to disconnect the ignition coils, pull the safety out and just disconnect them. Pretty simple procedure, guys. You can see just like that. Same thing, okay, to cylinder number 3 and 4 respectively. We have the fuel volume sensor on the high pressure fuel pump. If it doesn't want to come out, just pull that thing, grab the connector, push it in, then release it, okay. Okay, it comes out because it gets stuck. We need to remove the fuel line. Always have fire extinguisher on the side. Fuel resistant gloves, eye protection. You spray some fuel when you remove that. Avoid sparks, flames, anything like that, right? You don't want to catch yourself on fire. So, perfect, this one came out. Now, let's go ahead. Okay, remove the high pressure fuel pump next. So a little bit on each side, not all at seven. And right here is the camshaft follower, also known as a cam bucket or camshaft tappet, or different names, that I would recommend to actually inspect and replace because those do fail sometimes and it can destroy your engine as well. So let's go ahead, put it in. Okay, now next thing we'll remove, okay, let's remove the ignition coils next. Okay, to remove all the ignition coils here we're going to remove that mount. Okay, we drop the ball, we have to be careful. For the wiring harness, and then we will do the ignition coils. We can go ahead and flip the wiring harness on the side. Now, those ignition coils, they have bolts with 10 millimeter socket. Excuse me. Now, we can easily grab each one of those, pull them up. Okay, it comes out just like that. Now, that valve cover attaches with 20 or 22 bolts. I don't remember exactly how many, but it's quite a bit. We have a special video about the torque specs later and what you need to do to make sure you don't have oil leaks. Where you need to, even though you're putting a new gasket every time you remove it, you still need to apply a little bit of silicone at 2 places, otherwise you will develop leaks. So we'll go ahead, start getting the bolts loose. Preferably, okay, not to drop them. I'll just go ahead behind and pick them. Okay, when you're in the car, guys, take your time, okay? Be careful, because it's not worth it to drop bolts and start hunting for them for 20 minutes. It's a special bolt and you cannot replace it with another one. 2 more around the oil pump housing, the fuel pump, high pressure fuel pump. Right here you have 4 more bolts that are kind of like in the middle. One of them is a little bit hidden, you may not see it from the oil cap. So go ahead, do those. Alright. So let's go ahead. pull that cover up. Okay, that line will come a little bit out of the way, and the valve cover, okay, came out. Now this is the gasket here for the spark plugs, outer gasket as well. Every time it's recommended to replace that gasket. We have a special video about the total specs for the valve cover. So let's continue with the next step now. So next, the timing cover. Okay, why we need to remove the oil pan, you can see first because oil pan is actually on top of the timing cover. It has the bolts here as well. Next, we need to pre-loosen the water pump. Okay, the water pump pulley bolts, pre-loosen them before you remove the belt. That way, when you remove the belt, you will actually have the bolts pre-loosened, because otherwise the pulley will be spinning freely and you will not be able to remove it. Now practically I'll go ahead, okay, recommend to just get them loose to where they go by hand, but we'll just use the impact so we don't waste your time, guys. So we can go ahead and do that quickly now, but you can see that's why you need to do it first. Now let's remove that pulley. Perfect. Why we need to remove it? Because we have a few bolts that we cannot access underneath. Right here we need to remove, okay, that's a hardware pulley. Let's go ahead and remove that one now. 14mm socket. This one is normal threaded. You go counterclockwise. Now we need to remove the tensioner pulley. This one is reverse threaded, okay. So we need to get a 14mm. Okay, and let's go ahead, okay, and do it. Perfect. You can see how that one is reverse threaded, because otherwise you go counterclockwise to release the pressure so we can install the belt. Here, in our case, it's 17mm that we need to get. This is because you need to come out because there is a hidden bolt underneath as well. Let's do that. You will need to have the engine really well supported under the car, because you will not have the passenger engine mount. We'll have a special video that explains how to replace passenger engine mount on Hyundai Sonata, so if you need help, please feel free to check it out. Now let's go ahead and remove the mount for the engine, the bracket for the engine mount. So those are 14mm bolts. One of them, somebody installed the wrong type of bolt. Whoever worked on that car last time, either it stayed somewhere for a long time and they lost bolts, or they had no idea what was happening, guys. I think combination of both, which sometimes that's why I prefer to work on my own vehicle, so I know what the problem is. Crankshaft pulley now. In order to remove the crankshaft pulley, there is a special tool that you use actually to install, okay, on the transmission bell housing right there. You see that hole here, and you remove that bolt there. It goes and locks the flywheel in the teeth, guys, or you can do it through the starter hole as well. You can do that as well. You have two bolts there that you can use as well. So with that being said, now okay, let's explain something now, guys. We used air compressor and an impact. This is the impact that we use. Air compressor is very small but super powerful compressor. This one here, 165 psi, only 6 gallons, but it's able to do jobs like that usually with ease. Okay, only one time we had a hard time removing one bolt with it, but usually it does it great if you have a that's the Ingersoll Rand, really good powerful impact. So ours is pretty loosened, so all we have to do, just remove now the bolt. Pretty simple. Let's do that, and we should be able to remove the pulley now. Okay, let's grab it. Perfect. Now right here, let's explain what we have specifically. We need to let's start with the 12mm bolts first. This one you don't need to remove. Okay, that's the only one that you don't. In some cases, maybe on some engines you do, but on this one you don't. You don't need to worry about that one. Okay, okay, let's remove these two, and I want to just remove that one to see. It's a short bolt, but I want to show you, okay, what you can see through it, because somewhere there should be the tensioner. Okay, let's see what's here. Okay, that's the tensioner. You can install now, guys, okay, the thing for the tensioner. Practically you can access the timing chain tensioner, okay, to see it, okay, and to adjust it if you need to, but it's nothing major now because it's self-adjusting hydraulic tensioner. Now right here, 10mm, and we're going to go ahead do all this. Okay, that's what we're doing now. Let me maybe make one good intro picture so you can get the idea when you guys click on that video where we're working, kind of like that it fits on Sonata. Now that let me explain something. You can get penetrating spray, okay, oil, penetrating oil. I'll put the link in the description of the video below. Apply on that guide here that's super rusty, and one right there. Let it soak while you're working on all that, and then re-soak them again. You will have rust, and that will make the cover to come out hard. And if you pry too much, that can easily crack. It's super thin, and we've done that in the past, and they're expensive to replace. You have two prying spots, one here, one over there, and then I think you have one on the bottom here and one over there. So you have 4 prying spots that you need to actually go a little bit at a time, because it will be resealed, it will have silicone, and it will not come out easy. But you can see timing cover came out. Now that timing cover used the same silicone as the one for the oil pan that we show you, the gray gasket maker right there. But you need to clean later everything really good, okay, really good. Clean the engine block as well, clean the timing cover, clean it on the bottom where the oil pan will be actually contacting the timing cover. You need to use degreaser. I'll recommend maybe rubbing alcohol, clean everything good, and the block as well where they will be contacting. Apply later when you put it together about 2-3 millimeter bead of silicone and reseal everything. If you do it wrong, you have an oil leak from the timing cover, but it came out, and you can see here is the timing chain and all the internals of the engine. For the next step, guys, okay, for the timing chain removal, I will recommend to remove all the spark plugs, put a screwdriver, you're going to turn, okay, the crankshaft, and make sure that all pistons come in the middle, okay, not one to be high, one to be low. So we're going to, okay, now this is TDC point, this is all the way low, check it out. Now I'm going to go to the one that's TDC, let's turn it, okay, turn, and I'll show you there is a trick actually. Check on all 4 cylinders, okay, and that's it in the middle, so if something goes bad, you're not going to bend valves. If you look at the pulley, okay, that key right here, when it's on the left side, that's TDC point, okay. When, guys, okay, that key is at 90 degrees angle, okay, you're actually going to have all pistons in the middle, because when it's to the left, cylinder number 1 and 4 are up. When it's to the right, cylinder number 2 and 3 are up. Put it in the middle, everything will be leveled, and you can actually see that kind of like through the hole here as well, okay, for the pistons in some cases too. Now that way we don't need to worry about, okay, anything else. Now for the timing chain, if you're removing it, replacing it, I'll always recommend to replace the oil pump as well. Some people just replace the tensioner arm and the guide, which is still okay because there will not be too much wear. But in case you need help with that, we'll explain how to do the oil pump chain, because many people make a mistake. They'll try to remove that pulley, and then you need to buy a brand new oil pump assembly with a balance shaft, because everything will be out of balance. Never remove that gear there as well. So now we can remove the tensioner. Let's go ahead, do that. Alright, perfect. We're going to pull it out. Excuse me. Next, we're going to get actually 10 millimeter, remove the tensioner arm. It will come out. Just be careful not to break anything. I would recommend to always install everything new, but nothing to fall anywhere that you don't want it to. 3 on the tensioner guide, right there. Perfect. Okay, you can see that's out of that Hyundai Sonata right here, guys. Okay, now let's go ahead, okay, and explain what else we need to do. At that point, you can grab that timing chain, okay, and you can pull it out. Okay, you can see the bottom one comes out on the top as well, and this is the timing chain. Now, the lower one, how you do that? Let's explain that. Okay, pretty simple. Now, I want to show you again where we were. Okay, so if you look at it, the lower one, okay, right here, we need to remove everything on top. Timing chain guide, tensioner arm, and we need to remove the tensioner itself, which this one is not hydraulic, it's spring loaded. It will shoot out, so be careful. There will be a spring and the piston itself, okay? because it just spring loaded. It's not a hydraulic tensioner. You can see all the gunk here that's stuck as well. Let's go ahead, remove that one now. Just 10mm socket, perfect. And later, okay, we need to remove this one. And now if you try to remove that chain, it will not come out, guys, okay? It will not come out, it's not long enough. If you try to pull that socket, it will not come out because the chain is short again. Okay, I'll try my best, it doesn't work. So what you need to do, you need to remove the oil pump and balance shaft assembly. And that's with 12-point socket, okay? The 12-point socket is the one that we use for the oil pan. 12mm. There is a specific torque specs when putting it together, so we'll share that in the timing chain installation video. You need a big tool like that because those will be actually pretty tight, okay? So just be prepared that it will require quite a bit of force, guys, to do that. Let's go ahead, remove the bolts. Remember that oil pump and timing chain, balance shaft, oil pump and balance shaft assembly is pretty heavy on the last bolt. You need to really hold it good, otherwise, okay, it can fall on you and smash you and break your head, guys. That's probably not to say big word, but it's probably close to 10 pounds, I don't know. So we're removing the bolts. Some of them are long, some of them are shorter. So check it out, that's what we're doing now. Perfect. Now on the last one. Oh, we missed one somewhere, let's see. Yep, we missed one, I see it. Right there, the most inconvenient one. Okay, now we grab that. It's going to come out in an angle. And then you can pull it out, and later, okay, we have a special video that explains how to put everything together. Timing chain marks and timing chain installation on Hyundai Sonata. Now, you can even pull that gear if you need to, it comes out as well. Okay, for the timing chain on the oil pump. So, that's how we got everything out of here now. So, next step that we need to do, we need to remove the direct fuel injection pump housing. 3 bolts with 12mm socket. That's all we have to do. We will go ahead, remove it. Okay, it may be a little bit stuck because it goes in 2 metal guides, or maybe 3 right here. You can see where it attaches. Now, first thing, we need to remove the caps for the camshaft. We need to remove them. Okay, we need to do it by hand. We need to remove them in specific order, otherwise you can damage things. And you need to install them exactly in the same order that you remove them. Let's say this one is from here, that's where it needs to go. So get a box and line everything where it's supposed to, even mark them if you have to with paint on top, with something, scratch them and say let's say after this one, 1, 2, 3, 4 intake, 1, 2, 3, 4 exhaust. So later you can install exactly the same location. Now, we're going to go ahead, okay, go to the next one now, towards the very end. Step number 3, go to right here. Step number 4, over there. Step number 5 will be the last ones. A little bit on each side will be recommended. Perfect. Now we need to remove them exactly in the same order that they come. So we'll grab them. Okay, perfect. One came out. Now we're going to get another one. And then we'll be almost ready to remove the camshafts, guys. Just 2 more caps, 2 more bearings, and they should come out. You grab the camshaft and intake exhaust come out of here, you can see just like that. So once the camshafts come out, guys, okay, the next step, as you can see, we're at the valve lifters here. If you're for some reason, okay, removing cylinder head, putting the engine upside down, for any reason those valve lifters will fall off. What will happen, each one of those have a different thickness, and if you guys actually get them out without numbering them where exactly they go, later you're going to spend hours and hours trying to see where they go. You need to measure the distance between the camshaft and the valve lifter, and that can spend you so much time, guys. So always number them if you need to remove them. Now let me explain, okay, what else we need to do. So right here, guys, now the valve lifters will recommend, okay, I'll show you on cylinder number 1 here on the intake. Okay, that's one of them. Okay, let me go ahead and grab it with fingers. Okay, perfect. That's number 2. Now, there is difference between those, okay, valve lifters. Those are not hydraulic lifters, those are manual lifters. And if you see on the inside, there is a number. Specifically, that number for that valve lifter is 3.345. Okay, 3.345, that's the thickness from the, okay, on the valve lifter. Now, if you guys, okay, check this one, the second one, this has a thickness of 3.360. So each one of those has a specific thickness. When you're replacing valve lifters, okay, you need to see exactly what size you need, and you will need to install the camshafts, at least with 2 caps. You will have the valve lifter installed, and when the valve is closed, you will need to measure the distance between the camshaft practically and the valve lifter, and you need to be in those specs. For different engines, it's different specs. Valve lifters large, guys. So if you have too much space between the camshaft and the valve lifter, that will cause valve lifter noise. If it's actually depressed, if actually there is not enough distance, the valve can stay open, which can result into a leaking valve, burned valves, damages to the intake manifold, exhaust manifold, catalytic converters. Practically, leaking valve can destroy your car, guys. So you need to make sure that everything is done correctly. So that's how you guys remove valve lifters. Just make sure that they go where they're supposed to. Okay, and you need to get the one that the thickness is right. So sometimes if you have valve lifter noise, you have to recheck all of them and make sure which one is causing the trouble. I can tell you this one right here, okay, had problems. This one was fine, okay. This one most likely had a rattle, okay. This one had some rattle as well. You can see, so that can cause problems there as well. Hopefully the video will be helpful to any of you having problems with that. Thank you for watching, and see you guys next time.